Coming to you from one of the most resourceful, independent, and badass generations of all time. Welcome to the Gen X Brothers Podcast. Join Erik and Glenn, two half-brothers that make up one hell of a show.
Welcome to Gen X Brothers.
Yeah.
How's everybody doing out there?
What's up, everybody?
I'm Glenn. It's my brother, Erik.
Erik with the K. And that's Glenn with two N's.
Oh, yeah. We're both special.
Hey, wasn't there a time, we go back to, we were talking about telemarketing last time?
Yeah.
Wasn't there a time that I got really mad at you because you wrote my name? You were for everyone out there, we did telemarketing. There was a few times where Glenn was my manager. My little brother's my boss, you know. Yeah. And I think he kind of knew at times that I'd come in a little bit sauced or whatever from drinking. But we had a sales board, right? So you had to put all of our names on it. And wasn't there a time that you put Erik with a C? And then didn't I go off on you or something? I think I remember.
It could have been, yeah.
I think I remember like, motherfucker, you're my brother. I live with you.
Yeah.
How dare you spell my name with a C? And I started thinking, I wonder if you get me back because I used to spell your name with one N.
After 20 years, you still don't know my goddamn name.
And I think I remember walking out or like, you're like, oh, I think you said like go home for the day or whatever. Like,
yeah, it was probably because you were drunk or something.
Yeah, I was like a little bit buzzed, but I was like, man, a motherfucker.
Like I even pay attention. It was like, whatever. Yeah. I just spell shit. So when you were drunk and you got, wasted all the time, or even now when you're not, do you think that you're intimidating to other people? Like when you get mad or just in general? I've
never been told I was intimidated looking, but I sometimes have a feeling I am. Well, maybe I have been told, but I don't remember like specifically by who. Like, oh yeah, you're kind of like, I thought you look like you could be like, kick some ass or something. But there's been times where I felt like I'm making somebody uncomfortable. Like if I'm on the bus and there's somebody like kind of looking at me a certain way, I feel like maybe I'm making them uncomfortable. And in my mind, do I look intimidated? Do I look mad or pissed off? Well, remember, my ex-brother-in-law, if you remember him, Paul, he always looked like he was in the bad mood, and people would always tell him, dude, you look like you're always mad. But he was always like a happy-go-lucky guy, Do
you think I'm intimidating or?
No, I don't think so.
Or maybe because you know me. I always get the feeling that people are really intimidated by me. All the time. I don't know why. I mean, I guess I look.
It also depends on the person. Like, it could be someone who's not as like, because you can be assertive. You have, you definitely command your presence in a sense, like, well, because you're well spoken and you're smart, obviously smarter than me.
Well, I don't know about that, but since since I was your boss at some point, like obviously you talked with the other employees. Were they intimidated by me, or were they just like, oh, fuck him, we're gonna do what we want?
Well, there's this one guy that we used to bounce around rooms with me all the time, and he used to work with you. I can't remember his name, but he'd call you Ivan the Terrible or something. Like, yeah, your brother fired me again, man. Like, motherfucker. Like,
well, that's what you get, motherfucker.
Yeah.
Yesterday, I was walking. I went to downtown Vegas. It was sunny outside, and we're walking around the casinos. They have those people kind of like on the, if you're not familiar with like Hollywood, by the, the Man's Chinese Theater, where people hang out and they dress up like Mickey Mouse, or they hang up like
Spider-Man, Batman.
Yeah, they dress up like characters, and then you can take pictures with them for money.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, in Vegas, they have like basically hot girls that look like strippers. And they have guys that are all buffed out that look like wrestlers or what do they call, Chippendale dancers.
Yeah.
And so I'm walking to go across the street, and they're all hanging out in one little area, and they're bugging people. Like they're like whipping guys. Like they have this one chick had a whip, and she was like smacking people's asses and stuff. And they have handcuffs, and they're trying to, that basically I know their game. They basically try to take a picture with you, and then they pick your wallet at the same time. So I'm not putting up with that shit. But anyway, I don't like people in general. So I usually always look pissed off while I'm walking, outside among other people. But I was just walking, and you could tell this girl with handcuffs, she came up to me, and I wasn't looking at her, so I wasn't making eye contact. And she was like, hey, and she started to say something. And then as soon as I looked at her, she immediately like turned away.
Like clammed up or something.
And went to the next person. Like, because almost like once she saw the expression on my face, I guess, or looked me in the eye, it was like, okay, I know better. I'm not going to mess with this person. And that's That seems to be what I get.
You know, a lot of it too. It could be because you, like you said, I hate people when I'm out and about. So you already have that kind of in your energy, I guess you could say. I mean, if you think about
but
energy.
I mean, you know me, like I'm usually a pretty jolly person. Like I give a shit about anything. But no one would know that
until they actually got to know you for about 5 minutes. If they got to know you, like if you were to stop that chick, say, hey, what about me? Why didn't you? And then you can kind of introduce yourself, and then she might be like, okay, like with me, I feel like I'm a magnet for people who just want to always, like, I'll be at the bus stop and no matter what, I don't know if it's just people in Portland are just very sociable, but sometimes I look like I should be pissed off and intimidated. But no, they just find it and they gravitate towards me. They start talking and bring up a conversation. It's always about, obviously the weather, and then they got to talk about this or that. And the next thing you know, we're in a conversation. And the next time I go to the bus, I have to hope I don't run into that person. I don't feel like talking.
Now you're friends and shit.
Yeah, it's like every time it happens. And I put on my headphones like I'm listening to music. And
well, that's what's funny is that's why I hate, I don't give money to homeless people. And it's not that I don't mind helping. Well, I figure they're all a scam anyway. But part of the reason why I stopped doing it is because when I did give somebody $1 or something, they almost felt like they had to be my friend.
Yeah.
And so when I gave them $1, then they would start talking to me and following me. And I'm like, well, I don't want this shit. So I'm never going to give somebody money again because I don't need to pay for friendship. I don't want that shit.
Paying you from a friend.
Just fucking leave me alone,
Yeah.
That's why I gave you the money, just to fucking clear my conscience and I can move on with my life.
Yeah, so I was walking outside of Safeway tonight and I gave these one panhandlers some, $10. They gave me a box of Girl Scout cookies.
What?
Oh, they were Girl Scouts. Well, that's why they act. Like you walk out of the store, they're like, hey, "Sir, would you like to do this?" Like they just totally freaking bombard you like a panhandler would.
See, even the Girl Scout cookie girls don't even bother me. They walk in the opposite direction. But so I'm wondering if, obviously we talk a lot about our childhood on this channel. That's been the main purpose why we're here, is to kind of go back to where we grew up and all the stupid shit that we used to do.
Because we're Generation X.
And yeah, I mean, we're fucking Generation X, man. You grow up defensive. When we lived in Santa Clara, I was 3 years old. We moved there when I was probably 1 or 2, right?
I think so, yeah. Because I know you're born in Ontario.
Well, let me ask you this, because my earliest memory, this is my very earliest memory, and I think I was about 1 or 2 years old. And I'm in the crib, and I'm jumping up and down, and you're like looking at me funny, and I think I shit my pants or something, right? Because I started to smell. I have diapers on. I'm fucking 2 years old. What do you expect?
Yeah.
And you're like laughing at me that I smell. You're like, oh, you smell or something. And then I start jumping up and down, and the little poop comes out of my diaper. Oh, yeah. And it rolls onto the crib. And then you start laughing at me, and you're pointing at me. You're like, you pooped.
I think I probably,
I don't know if you remember that, but that's my earliest memory.
I kind of do. I always say, they say, abortion is taking a life. It's like, well, I don't even remember anything past 2 years old. So you could abort me up until 2 years old at least. I wouldn't even know it. So how is that murder? I wouldn't even know I lived.
Yeah, as long as I don't remember it. Shit, it don't matter.
You poke a hanger at me, I'm dead. I don't even know it. Like, unless you did it to me at 3 years old or something, then yeah, it's gonna hurt.
Yeah, that's hardcore, man. Shit.
Yeah, but anyway, so yeah, the earliest I can remember, like maybe 4 years old, I remember swallowing a bunch of pennies, thinking they're candy or something. I just remember like holding the pennies up in my hand and just swallowing them. To this day, I think, was that a weird dream I had? But I think I remember actually swallowing. I remember mommy or somebody, like, whoever's house we were at, was trying to, do the hem like or whatever to get them out. But there was nothing wrong with me, actually. I just remember and it could have been just like a few pennies, but in my mind, I'm seeing like a bunch of pennies just like.
That's the way it was with me with my memory, is that it almost seemed like I was in the third person remembering it. Yeah. But you never know, because when you remember stuff over time, you kind of add to it, or it mixes up with dreams.
Like subconsciously embellish.
Yeah. That kind of takes me back to before I was born, because for a lot of people out there, if you're not aware, Erik and our mother had schizophrenia. She had a mental disorder. One of the weird things for me was I never knew my mother as normal.
Yeah.
But you did, because she didn't go crazy until I was born. And in fact, it was even later on, for all those people who want to know how fucked up I am, it was actually blamed on me. My mother would tell me that the reason she went crazy is because when I was born, I made her have a nervous breakdown. So I'm curious what your thought is like when you were like between ages of 1 to 5, because then you live in Ontario, you got to go to Disneyland. And
so I remember Ontario, and I remember Ontario very vividly, especially going to kindergarten, walking across the Grapevine. And I remember mommy being pretty normal. Yeah, she would just, I remember coming home from school, she would always have lunch for me or whatever, and just act normal. But there was a few times it was kind of weird. Like I remember coming home from school one day and there was these old guys working on a roof, like from across the way in the window. Right, you could peer out the window and you can see across the way there's some guys on a roof. And mommy kept telling me, "Those are bad men. Don't ever go to those bad men." And I just remember seeing him from a long distance, though. And I still kind of have the image in my head, like what the guy looked like. He kind of looked like an old, like kind of chubby, bald dude, like your typical construction worker, but old. And he was up there on the roof just pounding away and stuff. And I just remember mommy saying, "Those are bad men. Those are the bad men. Don't ever." So I'm wondering if around that time, maybe that's because I was in kindergarten, because that's about the time you were born at 5. And I think that's kind of when it started. And I remember your dad telling me when we had that conversation that he said he remembers just coming home one day. She was normal one day or for a week or so. And then he come home and she was naked and just putting pictures up all over the walls, or with no clothes on, and just, I guess she was having that nervous breakdown. Yeah. And I think that might have been right after you were born.
Yeah, because that all of a sudden she just put everything in the bathtub. She was completely naked.
Because we go to Disneyland a lot. Like I remember, and I remember seeing, I don't have those pictures anymore, but I remember Grandma gave me the pictures when me and your dad, and at the time thinking he's my dad as well. We can get into that story later, how I found out I had a real dad, which was, because obviously mommy didn't have the mind or the right mind to tell me that I have a different dad. I'm just assuming I'm growing up thinking your dad's my dad up until I was about 9 years old. But anyway, so going to Disneyland, seeing those pictures, and mommy just looks normal. We're holding hands, and just posing for the pictures. He's in a fur coat, looks, nice and elegant. And but then, it was sometime after that.
Well, I remember my dad telling me, I don't know if he told you or if you were there when this had happened, but he said because he met our mom when you were 10 months old.
Yeah.
So you were obviously a baby. He wanted to take care of you, but then he met your father, Devon, right? Your father's name was Devon.
Yeah. And he's not black. He's white. And Devon, is he a black guy?
Is that a black name? I don't even know.
It's a typical black name, I guess.
Okay. There's nothing to be ashamed of.
Yeah.
So what he said was that when Devon saw him, right, and I think he was probably helping mommy move all of her stuff out of his house or something, or I don't know the context of the situation.
I don't know, like a story between going from South Dakota, which I was probably only there for that 10 months or maybe 8 months or whatever, being born there, and then when did we go to California, and where did mommy meet your dad?
At the hospital in Merced is where they met.
Okay.
From what he said. And what happened was when he saw him, he looked him directly in the eye, my dad, and said, "That bitch is crazy.
Oh, yeah.
You're going to fucking regret this." That's what he told my dad.
Yeah.
And my dad said, "What are you talking about?" And he said, "Yeah, up until the point to where I was born and she went crazy." He said she showed no signs whatsoever of any mental disorder. He said she disguised it very well.
And she was a nurse, I think, at the time. Is that where they met at the hospital because mommy was a nurse?
Not a nurse, a candy striper, which is like a volunteer or something where you're I guess you're an assistant or something. You're not really a nurse. You just kind of
So mommy would always say she was a nurse. I think maybe that was just her way of her fantasy of maybe she was always wanting to be a nurse. Because she always said, I used to be a nurse. I used to be a nurse until Lynn's daddy, your daddy took it all away from me. Or she'd always say.
Oh, is that what she said? Yeah.
Well, because being schizophrenic. And at the time we don't know the word schizophrenia. We just think, well, back then we called it mental disturbed. Everyone was just saying, well, she's mentally disturbed, in other words. So, because when I think of schizophrenia, I think of someone changing their personality, like from Bobby to Johnny or something. Like, well, let's talk to Johnny now. Oh, here's Johnny. I mean, like that.
Well, no, because schizophrenia still is defined as hearing voices and
hearing voices. Yeah, I didn't know that till like later on. When you kind of figure out the different forms of schizophrenia, because we're just thinking of the movie Sybil,
yeah,
where the chick was like different persons,
Yeah, so our mother heard voices in her head, and at times those voices would tell her weird fucking shit. But what it did is it caused, I think, me and you to go outside and play because we didn't want to be home. My dad was working 12 hours a day in a restaurant to pay the bills. And we were just like, and she didn't pay attention. I don't know what the fuck she was doing, but me and you, but by the time we woke up at like whatever it was, 6 o'clock in the morning, we were outside fucking running around. Or if you had to go to school, I was so bored, I was running around. So then there was this busy street between our apartment and the school was right across the street, right?
Yeah, Monticello School. Yeah, I still remember the name.
So I remember I would dress up as Darth Vader and I would just pace back and forth in front of that busy ass street until you got home from school. Even back then, I loved villains. So
yeah. Yeah.
So then you remember obviously a lot more than that of me going with you to the school. Like I was actually able to go into the school with you.
So I had this really cool class. I want to say it was first and second grade. Because kindergarten, again, I was in Ontario in kindergarten. But by the time I got to Santa Clara, I was either first or second grade. Special ed. And I had these two teachers, Miss Paperhousing and Miss Quinn. I still could see them in my head to this day.
That's so weird.
And they were just super cool. They were just like, we had kids in the class that were, I guess, different ages, maybe because they were all special ed or something, but they all looked bigger than me, so I don't know. But I just remember the door was always open. I remember looking outside and I see you crossing that busy street in your diapers running over, and you start coming and you come and sat in class with us. And the teacher didn't even kick you out or nothing. She was like, "Who's this?" And I go, "This is my little brother." And it's like, "Okay, well, you can join us. Just be quiet." And
nobody fucking questioned that a 3-year-old wasn't around their fucking mom, and that they were just running around the whole fucking nowadays. If that happened. I mean, come on. If you saw a 3-year-old walk into a school, they would be fucking stopped and the parents would be arrested for neglect.
CPS would be there, DHS, everything.
It's so weird.
Yeah, it was just trippy. And it just became kind of a regular thing. Like you just pop in every now and then. And I remember we had the two black kids in the class, Althea and Orlando. I remember them kind of having fun with you, and I think they're trying to hide you from the principal that came into the classroom or something. Or
I remember we were walking in the hallway, and then the principal started to come, and then they said, "Oh, hi!" And I laid down behind them, and they all got in front, and it was almost like it reminded me of like an old 40s black and white film where with little kids they were like, "Hi, Mr. whatever the fuck his name was," and they were like, "Hi, children, what are you up to today?" And they're like, "Nothing," and and I'm hiding behind them and shit.
Yeah, it's so weird because when I think back at those times, like Santa Clara and that whole experience, being that young and I have a vivid memory of it. Out of all the memories, I have stuff I don't remember. I can't remember dates of certain things, but so I can see that clear as day what everyone looked like, what Miss Quinn looked like, Miss Paperhousing looked like. I could see you coming into class. I know what Orlando looked like, Althea, Robbie, when he later on came into the picture.
Well, you know what I remember as clear as day, because you used to play with bees, right? You would catch the bees in your hand.
Yeah.
Now we do that now. We're fucking scared. We see a bee, we run in the opposite direction. But when you were a kid, you used to pull the stinger off of the bees.
Yeah.
And so you go, "Hey, Glenn, come here." And so what you did is you hold out your hand, and I held up my hand, and you put a fucking stinger right in my hand, and it just went right in.
I used to do it to myself. I used to like the feeling of it.
I started screaming and shit, and you got in trouble. I think you got a spanking from mommy.
Yeah, so I did that for quite a while until I realized I didn't know that this. I was really big into insects, collecting insects, but then once I started reading up on bees, I didn't know that they actually lost their life when they lost their stinger. So here I am, pulling their stinger off, and then I'm killing all these bees, which I love.
Biology,
bees.
I mean,
yeah. So I didn't know that they only got one shot to if you piss them off, they sting you and then they die that's a hell of a sacrifice, man.
Which is funny too, because it reminds me that even though we were super close as kids, we also used to fight like fucking motherfuckers, man. We would fucking duke it out. And
there's still vivid memories of the time when we were wrestling in the living room and you cracked your head on the corner of the coffee. We always had that coffee table was.
Why was there a fucking coffee table in every fucking thing with the most dangerous corners?
Yeah, I can still see that coffee table. It was dark wood. It was very pointed on each corner.
It had the groove in it until it was a sharp edge, and every fucking week, man, my head was bleeding.
That coffee table loved you, man. It was almost like it was human.
That's why I got a hard head now, man.
And then there was one fight. I remember in the trailer. If we fast forward a little bit to the trailer, when I threw that cup at you or something, and it hit plastic cup and hit you in the head and you started bleeding all over the place.
I do remember at some point I held you in the bathroom with a BB gun because you did something to me and I grabbed our BB gun and I was trying to shoot you and you were like, "Stop."
I just remember the first time when you cracked your head open on that coffee table, I just remember it looked like a lot of blood, but if we were to see it today, it probably wouldn't be that big. It would probably be like, "Oh, it was just like a little," but I remember mommy like, "Oh my God, it's gushing blood. He's gushing blood."
Well, that's probably most of it is her sensationalizing it in our head. So therefore or we think it's worse than what it is. But it's just odd to me that, again, we're talking in the 70s. This
77, is 78, 77, probably 76, 77.
Yeah.
This is 78. I was born in 68, so
I was born in 73, so.
Yeah, so 68, 78 would make me 10 years old. We were already in that water at that time, or Fremont tap water. And then, so yeah, it was about 76, 77. Yeah, I always measure by whatever album Kiss came out with at the time. Okay, 76, yeah, it was.
Your timeline is the Kiss
Destroyer,
timeline.
78 was the solo albums, the commercials on the TV.
So I don't know if anyone else can relate to this, any other Gen Xers out there, let us know. I mean, if you can relate to what we're talking about, the shit that we used to do as kids, being able to get away with the stuff that we did, being as young as we were, email us. Let us know, man. We'll read your story. We'll relate to you. We'll talk about it.
What kind of fights did you get into? Did you get your head busted open? How many times did you count?
Yeah.
And another thing, going back to that classroom where you just pop in, and it got to a point where like you were going on field trips with us, because we'd go on field trips a lot at that place. I remember one time we even went on a tour at McDonald's for some reason, like that to go see how hamburgers were made. And you were able to.
That's when McDonald's was exciting in the 70s.
Yeah, we're going to see how they make the Big Mac. I was like, oh, great.
Now it's an insult.
Yeah, and I remember one field trip we went to see the San Francisco Giants play the Blue Jays or something. I still remember that, and we were able to get into the pit where we got to get the autographs. I remember our teachers made us make these little, out of construction paper, made little autograph books, because she's like, yeah, you're going to be able to meet the players. And I remember getting what was that? There was a famous bass player. I can't think of his name now, but I've had it on. I thought about it earlier when I was going to tell this story, but I can't think of his name now. But he was a very famous Giant. We're talking like 76, 77 on the Giants. But anyway, if I would have still kept that autograph today, I'd be like, man, I wonder how much that would be worth, because he was a legend, But at some reason, because Darryl Strawberry, how long has he been playing baseball? Like, I'm not a baseball fan, but for some reason remember his name there at that time. But I'm thinking but I'm not sure if he was even in baseball at that time.
I mean, I don't know nothing about sports, but I don't remember that name until like the 90s, Darryl Strawberry. So
for some reason, that name sounds familiar from when I went to that baseball game. It was the only first baseball game I ever went to, and just got their autographs, and just remember hanging over the pit, whatever, and they're just all these players are like grabbing our little books to sign them, giving them back to us. And because I remember getting back to the classroom, my teacher was like, "Oh my God, you got his autograph!" Like, I forgot what his name is. Again, I can't remember his name.
Whoever his name is, we don't know.
Yeah, it'll come to me.
So speaking of like, I don't know, some crazy shit going on. I mean, you just watched the documentary on, what was that band? Like that. Let's jump forward now to the fucking 80s. Fucking 80s glam band, or what do they call them? Hair bands. Fucking
the hair metal thing, which I don't, I always joke about this on Facebook. I even like the hair metal term is just so dumb, because we weren't calling it hair metal when that music was out. It was just metal. It was rock, or it was metal. And then it was in the 90s because of the grunge movement. And I guess insecure people who know they like that music or came from, they have to cloak with their friend. Oh, it's just hair metal.
Yeah, they got to put it down and shit.
Yeah. I mean, so it totally discredits like the actual musicianship that was really going on at that time, and the great music that it is. And so we're talking about Great White, right? If anybody out there got to catch the Great White or the Station Fire documentary. So it's America's Deadliest Concert. The Guest List is what it's called.
Oh, okay. Is that what it's called? The Guest. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I know it was the Station Club.
Yeah, it was at the Station Club. It took place in 2003 when the Great White, the band, was playing. And I guess pyrotechnics in the back. We're talking about a very small club with a 400 capacity or something like that, if I remember correctly in the documentary. They decided to have some pyros, and and the whole place just went up, and it went up so fast. Yeah. Did you get a chance to see the documentary?
Not the actual documentary. I watched some other stuff on it, like on YouTube and stuff. And well, you know what the real killer was with that club, right? It's the fucking bad music.
Yeah, the Great White.
Oh, is it too soon for? What is the anniversary? Is it the anniversary coming up or something? Is that why the documentary's coming out?
2003 is when it happened, so I guess 2022. I would say from what I understand, this documentary's been in the works for like 5 years.
Okay.
And so what it is, the guy just wanted to shed light on because I guess Jack Russell, the singer of Great White, he's still to this day like taking it pretty hard as far as what went down, because he didn't.
So again, well, what I was going to say is the real killer was the soundproofing foam. That was the real fucking killer, because what happened was that soundproofing egg foam shit that they had on the walls.
Yeah.
When it caught fire, it basically turned into a toxic waste zone where if you took 2 breaths, you were pretty much passed out. So anyone in the front row that breathed that in, because obviously you're panicking and you're going to go, And the moment you did that, you passed out and dropped to the floor. So those people never had a chance because they were pretty much dead from smoke inhalation.
And there's there's one part where like they go to this one part of the club after the whole thing. There was just dead bodies piled up at the door because they couldn't get out. They ended up just crowding. And there was this one bouncer guy, I guess he was so dedicated to his job that he wouldn't let people out of the one door that was meant for band members only. And he still wouldn't let people out, even though he'd see the fire.
And I met dickheads like that at the shows,
like,
when we played.
Dude,
like, what an asshole to be that fucking stupid and not realize, just let people fucking out the door, And
so there's a lot of the uproar about it. There was only a couple people that were prosecuted, which is like the two club owners, the brothers, and then the road manager for Great White. But Jack Russell kind of got away scot-free, even though it was Jack Russell the one that's approved the pyrotechnics and everything. I really don't solely blame Jack Russell in a sense because I think he was, maybe it should. Maybe he does have some responsibility, but I don't think he should take. I don't think he should beat himself up the way he has. Like in the documentary, I mean, there's a part where later on in years that his alcoholism gets out of control and he can barely talk and he's just crying about it. And now I guess nowadays you see him now, he's actually really, he's got his stuff together. He don't drink no more and his voice is still really good. I mean, that dude's really got a good voice. And,
well, this is my perspective is because I didn't see the documentary. I saw the stuff that was done like 3 or 4 years ago on YouTube. Is they said what they were pissed off about is that Jack Russell never apologized. It wasn't that he was responsible. And I don't think he would be because, you don't own the club. You don't know the safety measures. It would be your roadies that would know all that shit. The singer doesn't know any of that stuff. You're just a performer. You go on stage. But the fact that he never acknowledged he never said he was sorry. He never acknowledged any concern.
I think
or
later
remorse.
on he did. I think probably at the time he didn't, but I think later on he eventually did.
Yeah, that the documentary at the time of the documentary that I saw is they were saying he still hasn't apologized. He still hasn't done anything. In fact, he even started going out and playing shows. Mm-hmm. Like he said, they were never going to perform the song that they were doing. What was it called? Desert Moon. That was the song they were playing when the place went up. So they said they were never going to play that song again. They vowed never to play it, blah, blah, blah. And then I guess like 5 or 6 years later, he starts playing it again. Like he didn't even give a shit. And he starts doing all these tribute shows. And, before each show, he would say, I want to dedicate this to, it almost seemed like everyone was pissed off at him because it seemed like a publicity stunt.
Yeah.
Just to get attention. And I can see that because the guy kind of just cared about himself. I mean, I don't know. I don't know the guy personally. I don't know fucking shit. But to me, it seemed like he was a dick for that matter. Not that he needed to go to jail or be held liable, but still, I mean, these were your fans. They fucking died for your dumbass.
Yeah, and I think that's where like a lot of people are at the time, and even still feel today. I mean, there's obviously a lot of people that rally around him, but then there's the people with your view like that because that's what they see. Where they didn't see him actually breaking down, crying, and just really, even like I have a friend on Facebook. She knows him personally, and she was just with him a few weeks ago. She said that it came up or whatever because the documentary was coming out, and she said he just started breaking down about it, and so he's still pretty torn up about it. And I think he's probably paid his dues or whatever you call it, paid the piper or whatever you will. But it's gonna be with him for the rest of his life. And I think what was messed up, and Dee Snider made this good point because of the whole we were talking about the hair metal thing. When they tried to get a big show together. Like it was the drummer of Tesla, the band Tesla. He had the idea to put on this big benefit show and he wanted to have like all the bands from like Jersey and everything, like Bon Jovi, Bruce Springsteen. They reached out to these to come and just do a big benefit for the victims, right?
Yeah.
To raise money for the victims. They wouldn't do it because they didn't want to associate themselves with that scene, with the hair metal scene. Oh, so like even Aerosmith turned them down.
Really? I mean, I can see not associating yourself with him because of the tragedy, but because it was considered hair metal, that's kind of fucked up. I mean, that's
it was kind of a combination of the both. They just wanted to discipline. In other words, they weren't thinking about the victims and powerful help that they can actually bring to the table. So Dee Snider said, you know what, I'm going to do it. And Dee Snider rallied Twisted Sister together. All these other big acts like Tesla got together. I think Queensryche. And they all just put on this big show and just raised a ton of money. And
so then obviously your friend that knows him, I'm sure that they know him better than anybody else or whatever. And I'm not claiming to, this is just my perspective. But if after this documentary within the next few months, if he starts going on tour again and trying to do a comeback, well, then you know what the fuck's up.
Yeah. Well, no, well, I think he's been actually coming out. He's been playing out for the past few years.
But you know what I mean? Like if he tries to like use it to his advantage to be like, oh, I'm going to come out with new music or I'm going to do this now that this documentary is a hit.
Yeah. From what I understand, because he walks with a cane now, but I guess when he gets on stage, he's able to move around and just, go crazy. And I seen like some footage of him playing from last year at some festival. And his voice is phenomenal. I like the first Great White. I was always, I was a big fan of Great White when their first album came out. But or even that one song, I can't remember the lyrics, but it was their hit in the late '80s, whatever.
I've never liked. I mean, I liked that one song for a couple seconds, but I never liked. I don't know, it just wasn't my thing. I don't know.
The first album, and then that one song, or they had the lightning on the album cover. But after that, I just kind of lost track with them, and blues rock, wasn't really a big fan of the blues rock type of stuff.
Now, obviously, I mean, coming from our background in the 90s, I mean, we can relate to this because we had almost a similar incident at the Whiskey A Go-Go, right?
Yeah, so after watching that documentary, I started kind of reflecting back to the time when we played the Whiskey. And it was probably around the same time because, the thing happened in 2003, but I think we played the thing that happened with us was probably around that 2001, maybe.
No, it was 98 because I was still in the band. It was right before I left the band. So it was before 2000. So it was around between 98 and 99.
And was it the headlining show that we did with the Whiskey where we had Johnny Van Zandt from Lynyrd Skynyrd open for us and Infectious Grooves?
I don't remember the lineup, but I do remember the situation where, I don't know if you want to tell it. But.
Yeah, so our drummer, Tony, his gimmick was smashing the garbage can on the stage, me shaving the chest and everything. So then he also breathed fire like Gene Simmons. But, we thought it's original because it's going to be the drummer doing it this time. Decided to do it at the last song, which is a good thing we did. Tony gets behind his kit and he does the whole lighter fluid and then, blows the flame and it goes super high up into the ceiling. And I remember looking up and I could see the fire just raking against the ceiling, and I'm just like, oh shit, because usually when you see someone blow fire, it goes up in the air, and like Gene Simmons, it goes up and just disappears. Yeah, it's very right?
But I remember Tony telling me later on that what happened was he took too much lighter fluid in his mouth, so he had a big mouth, like his cheeks were puffy, and when I saw that, I grabbed my keyboard and I immediately started heading. I was up the stairs before he even blew the flame. So I was watching it just in case, because I was like, fuck it. I'm afraid of fire as it is. And yeah, when he fucking did that, it was just like a nuclear explosion where it just bellowed and it just floated to the top of the and the Whiskey ceiling is very high. If anybody's ever been at the Whiskey A Go-Go.
Yeah. Which is grateful that we were at a club like that, because if I had done it like at a place like the Station.
Yeah, I mean, we would have been well.
I think he did do it at a couple of little clubs, right?
Yeah, we did it at the what is it? The Fudge Cafe, Corona.
Yeah, the Fudge. Yeah.
Corona Milk Bar or something like that.
Yeah. So when he did that, and that sound guy, I remember they shut our music down, right? Like they usually shut us at the last song where we're doing their strumming the guitar, for him to do the garbage can. So I remember this music gets shut off, and I remember that sound guy just running up to the stage. What the fuck you doing, motherfucker? That's my fucking stage. You're gonna fucking
yeah. He was pissed. But this is what I don't understand. When Tony was doing it, it was at least he had like this sword that he lit on fire. That's what he used to breathe. That it must have been at least 2 minutes that shit. Like it took him time to get to the front of the stage, prepare, and then he blew it. So at any time that guy could have ran toward the stage and stopped it. But he didn't. So clearly he wanted to see what was going to happen. Yeah. And then after it happened, then he got pissed and ran and cut it. Because the music was still going while he was holding the flame up.
I think I remember the music getting cut off. Maybe the music didn't get cut off. I just remember him just running up to the stage, just pissed off.
Well, we pretty much ended it when Tony blew the fire. We just kind of, that's just the way we ended the show.
And I remember I was kind of a little bit toasty on stage. It was about the time when I used to kind of drink before I went on stage and whatever. And I remember the lady that booked us, she was pretty much owns the Whiskey, came down and was screaming at us and told us to get the fuck out. And we're never going to play there again.
She was the granddaughter of the famous Whiskey A Go-Go owner.
Yeah, or the owner of the Rainbow, who actually pretty much owns that whole strip. Yeah, Mario, who passed away a couple of years ago. Super cool guy, but at the time I didn't know that was his granddaughter. I'm like calling her a bitch, like you fucking bitch. We're not like this and that. And someone told me, dude, that's Mario's granddaughter. I go, oh, shit, they're mafia connected too.
Oh, that's right. Because now I remember we were the headlining act because I remember we were supposed to get paid after the show because and it was my job. Everybody made me go in there to tell her to give me the money. And I'm like fucking standing there and she's like, what do you fucking want? What is your problem? What is that guy's problem? Well, listen, I'm just here to collect the money, lady. You owe me. That doesn't matter. We sold tickets. We got,
we sold our tickets.
We got people at the door. So you fucking owe me money.
She banned us. I remember she banned us, but for some reason we were able to play there again. Back when a few years later, we were just able to play with Mayhem.
They get desperate for acts. They don't give a shit.
Was you in the band when we played with Mayhem, when we opened for Mayhem?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So and that was probably after, or it might have been even that show. No,
it wasn't that show. That was our big show where there was like all those guys, Mexican brawlers, like yelling at us and shit.
So that was the night that and I always tell people this funny joke. Like Leonard Skinner opened up for us. At the time it was Johnny Van Zant, but he was just playing on his own. But they threw them on the bill because we couldn't get. Remember, we only got Kettle Cadaver to open for us.
Yeah,
because none of the other bands would want to pay to play. They didn't. All the other bands were pussies about paying to play. So the Whiskey was desperate, and so Leonard Skinner or Johnny Van Zant just happened to be on tour coming through LA. And a lot of bands do that when they're on a tour. They find a certain date that they're not playing for the night, and they're able to just break away and go play a certain club or whatever.
Yeah.
And same with Infectious Grooves. So Infectious Grooves, which is Mike Muir, at the time bass player of Metallica, which is Robert Trujillo. They played the 8 o'clock slot, so they opened up for us. And
which is funny. Like we're all thinking we're all big time and shit.
I remember Johnny being really cool. He was backstage. He sees our makeup on. He's like, "Man, you guys look cool, man. You guys are like fucking Kiss, man." Like he was like a super cool guy. Like, and at the time, I really didn't know he was part of Leonard Skinner until like later on. You found Johnny Van Zant. And then now he actually goes out as Leonard Skinner because he's like the surviving brother.
At that time, I didn't even know who those people. Like I didn't pay attention to shit back in the 90s, man. I didn't care what band names were. I didn't care what the people's names were. I just fucking played the show and just left. I didn't.
And that time we opened up for Christian Death, Valor. Christian Death, remember that? Huh?
Valor was he was an asshole. I mean, he's always been an asshole.
I remember his kids were really cool. They actually bought our CD, and I think Valor was bugged by that their kids wanted our CD because he made them pay for it.
Well, yeah, because what was funny is Tony was saying some weird shit to the kids, like, "Oh, are you gonna fucking die?"
Well, I think because one of them was the kid that was on the record, "All the Love, All the Hate," which is a great record. I want to find that on vinyl, but it's the first song that opens up. It's his son singing, "I fucking hate you, I hate you." And I remember asking him, "Yeah, what was it like singing that song, or did you write it?" And he was, I just remember Valor being kind of like the dick.
The only reason I appreciated and respected him for being a dick is because when we played, that was at the Roxy, when we played at the Roxy, when we played clubs, because we did such an elaborate stage show, the stage managers would always give us a hard time. They were always assholes to us. They would always tell us, "Oh, you can't do this, you can't do that." It was another case where this total dickhead was always that bald-headed guy who's always like a fucking meathead asshole. He's always giving us a hard time. And he was being a dick to us right before our sound check.
Yeah, I've seen him in a documentary lately.
And he was being such an ass. And then Valor came in and he was doing his sound check right after us with as Christian Death. A lot of people don't agree with that. But so as soon as Valor came in, the guy tried to be mean to Valor. And Valor was like, "Fuck you." And he fucking put him in his place. And he started yelling at him, "I'm on the bill on this fucking shit. And you better get it right." And he made that guy feel, I saw that guy fucking shrink in his chair. Yeah. He was such like sitting at the board. And I could see him shrinking because Valor just fucking knocked his ass down a few pegs. And I was like, "Fuck yeah, man." Fuck
I remember
yeah.
Valor was kind of cool when we were kind of talking to him. I remember asking him about, like, how often do they play and where they toured. He said, "Oh, we live on the road. We're basically gypsies. We're just a family that just travels and just plays and travels and plays 300-something days a year." It was like,
but
wow,
I remember his kids did watch our show. They were in the front row. They watched our show all the way through. They were like
they bought a CD too. They bought our Building Up and Breaking Down the Matter CD. A lot of people dog on Valor. I like whether the diehard Christian Death fans. I kind of like Valor's voice better than Roger Williams. I understand Roger Williams is way more creative and he's a genius at what he does. But
to me, the best albums that Christian Death had was when Valor was playing guitar and Roz Williams was singing. I mean, what was that, like Ashes or
maybe? What's the one album that's called Sex, Drugs, and Jesus Christ? Is that Roz Williams or is that just Valor?
No, that's just Valor.
Yeah, I saw that Second Avenue Records. I'm thinking about getting that on vinyl. But, and All the Love, All the Hate. I think that was the first time I actually listened to Christian Death was Valor's All the Love, All the Hate when Paul Merrill had that record. And it was like, because one side was heavy and then the other side was all these cool gothic mellow songs and the other side was heavy. And I thought that was brilliant, doing All the Love and then All the Hate.
Yeah, I didn't hear that until I actually moved to Hollywood. My first Christian Death album was Catastrophe Ballet.
Yeah.
I didn't even know who the fuck Christian Death was. I was like, I don't know how old I was. I was like maybe 16 or something in high school. I went to the local record store and I just saw that it said Christian Death. And I was like, oh, fuck, Christian Death. You know, I was questioning authority and all that shit. I'm all, that sounds cool. And I fucking took that album home, or it was on tape. And I listened to that thing fucking 5 million times, just over and over again. I was so blown away by it.
Is that their first album, Catastrophe Valley? Is that their first album? Or is that
no. Their first album was Only Theater of Pain is their first.
There's a trip. My trip out of Christian Death was around in the early 80s, like 83, 82 or something like that. When at the time when I'm listening to like Hall & Oates and Journey and, then getting into Quiet Riot, Motley Crue, and then there's all this other music I had no idea until I didn't know until about the late 80s or maybe even 90s and stuff. And I didn't get into The Cure till 87, 88, when someone turned me on to the Kiss Me, Kiss Me, Kiss Me album. And that's when I say, oh, this is a whole nother realm of music.
Like, yeah, you turned me on to a lot of the music that I wasn't aware of other than just watching MTV. I mean, that was the only thing I had. You know, I lived in like a little small beach town when we moved away from each other after I was 13.
I was thinking about that today. Like, when did we separate? Like, because I don't remember us staying in contact too much until after you moved to Hollywood. Like, I remember you coming to visit every now and then. When I was living with mommy, did you come to visit me a couple of times?
Yeah, so when I was 13, I flunked every class because I was hanging out with Jesse and doing drugs and fucking.
But after you went to your dad's, like, did we stay in touch after you went to your dad's? Because I kind of remember us staying in touch much, like writing each other or calling on the phone.
Well, no, I used to come and visit at least once a month when we were living in Modesto. That was like a year when I was in like 8th, 7th grade. Again, I had to repeat 7th grade. But then when we moved to Pismo Beach, that's when obviously we're really far away, so we couldn't visit.
I think I remember you coming to visit me when I was living with mommy, I think one time, and then I think I might have been turning you on to some like Loudness or like the Dead End band, that band Dead End, I think.
I remember Exodus was Bonded by Blood. I remember that. And that's when I got a real good taste of metal. You know, I was like, oh shit, this is cool. But yeah, too many years, it passes by.
Yeah, man. Where do they all go? Where are we at now in the world, in the topics? Where are we at now?
We're fucking dead. That's where we're at. Fucking A. We're all going to fucking die and shit. But I'm sure Kanye West will have something to do with it because I know.
Oh, yeah. Did you check out that doc?
Okay, so yeah, this documentary on Kanye West, you know, we thought, oh, let's check it out. Did you like it or no?
I liked the first one, and the second one I liked it only because I felt it was necessary. I really liked the first one because I really wanted to get an understanding of really what was it like for him to actually start out in the beginning. Because, you know, when you hear about rap and pop stars, it just feels like they're all overnight successes. They get discovered, all of a sudden they come out with a record. But then you see that they're actually going through some of the stuff that we went through as a band, trying to get signed and all the stuff that they had to go through and getting turned down. And
I mean, I'm not a fan of Kanye West, so I had a hard time. I tried to watch it. I got through like maybe the first 15, 20 minutes of it. I mean, it's like you got to watch that. It's like watching somebody on fucking ADHD, you know, you got to be fucking twitching all the time. It just, I don't know. It was too, I don't want to say chaotic. It was just too, I don't know, rambly or something. I couldn't get into it.
Well, I thought it was interesting that the fact that he had this guy, this comedian or whatever that knew him or was a fan of him as a local producer, decided to leave his house and then to go film him before he even made it famous. I think he saw something in this guy that like, wow, I'm going to document this guy. And
yeah, but 20 years later, he gets a payday. I mean, it's kind of a long haul for that.
That's why I'm curious to see how it develops, because in part two, you can kind of see him kind of losing friendships with this Cootie guy or whatever. But so then now we're getting footage from everyone else, you know, but it's just for those first few years before he's trying to get signed to Rockefeller and meeting Jay-Z. And just his drive, like he's just like so bent on like, I don't want to be just known as a producer. I want to show them I can rap. And I love his mom because his mom, you know, she like knows his raps and she's kind of reminds me of grandma. She's like, what's that rap again that you do? She started rapping and so that's $1 million rap right there. You're going to be so famous with that one. And well, he's like,
I like how he went into the record studio and just started playing it for random girls, like random studio people that work there. But he just pops the tape in or the CD and just starts playing it for them and then singing and rapping right in front of them. They're like, okay, what the fuck am I supposed to do with this? You know,
when I'm about this, for people that ain't seen the video, but I got the first album on vinyl, the College Dropout. Yeah, I was curious. I really liked the one song, The Wire, and then there's another song where they have where he had an actual choir of people doing this melody, and he was recording it, and then that became part of that song, and then he was rapping over it and stuff. I just really like that melody. So I'm thinking, well, because I really like his 808 Heartbreaks album. I downloaded it on iTunes a long time ago, and I liked a lot of the songs. I think there were a lot of melodic songs. I could tell well crafted. And me, it's all about melody when I write songs and stuff. And so I just wanted to see, well, what's he got going on in that first album? Because everyone talks about the first album being one of the greatest rap albums of.
Yeah, I tried listening to it. I mean, there's that, I think the second song had a cool, like weird beat to it, the one that Jay-Z rapped on. But to me, I don't know. It's too preachy. It seems there's too many, like, it's almost like, how do I say, like In Living Color used to do, where every intro is kind of like a Martin Luther King Jr. speech or something, and trying to teach you something. You know, it's just, I don't like his rap style.
Well, what I like about him too is he was saying, I'm gonna change the game. I don't have to be this guy that's out there shooting people and doing drugs and everything. All I care about is my music, and I want to change the game and change the way people think about music. And so I kind of like that about it. And what's fascinating about him to me is he's got this whole mental thing going on, is crazy and stuff. But I notice every time, and if you go back to a lot of times, and we're going to see it in the next documentary in part 3, because they're going to get into that whole thing a couple of years ago when he went on TMZ and he started talking about slavery as being, he made those really controversial remarks or whatever. Every time he does something crazy or says something crazy and it gets in the news, he drops an album the next day. Like, it's weird. Or he'll drop a new song. I'm thinking that it's either like he's a genius and he's a mental genius, and it's just he knows exactly how to time it out.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I got that sense from the beginning that he's definitely a marketing genius. He knows what he's doing. And I respect him for that. I do, but it's just not my cup of tea. You know, I don't like his style. You know, there's a million different rappers I like, a million different hip hop styles. I don't know why. I just, you know, it's nothing against him personally or nothing against him. It's just that I tried to get into it and I was just like, meh.
Like with him, it's like there's a few songs where I can like, okay, that's a really great song. But like when I compare him to like Snoop Dogg and other rappers, I really like the classic rappers like the Ice Cubes and the Ice T's and the, you know.
It doesn't hold a candle to those guys. Well, I mean, when you got Dr. Dre, you know, writing the beats behind that, it's just.
Part 2, he gets signed to Rockefeller at the end of part 1. And in part 2, Rockefeller's taking a sweet time to get his album out, and then they run out of budget. So he's actually trading budget time with other groups and other artists, and he actually goes back to making beats for people just so he could pay for some studio time just to finish that damn album that he's had to work for like a year and a half, and it finally comes out and it's a success, and everyone's like, you know, kicking themselves in the ass for like taking so long and maybe not jumping on his ship. And when the College Dropout came out, all of a sudden he's winning Grammys. He even said, I'm going to win a Grammy. The fact that early on when you see him in the video, like that guy's filming him 5 years before he actually gets a Grammy, when he's saying, I'm going to win a Grammy, and then he actually wins 5 like on his first album. It's like, it's kind of neat to see that, like that was actual real footage of
but
this
how many people
him.
say that and then it doesn't happen. And you know, it comes down to attitude, I think, especially when you're dealing with.
I think that's what really got him going, was his total attitude and his drive. And
it's also the thing that held him back. Imagine you're a record producer, or you're like the guy fronting his money, and he's in your office every fucking day going, when are we going to do this? Like talking really, you know, because he's so hyper. You're like, dude, fucking chill out. Give me a break here, man. Get off my fucking ass, you know? So I can see that's what held him back.
Even when he broke his jaw and he was in the hospital, his face was all blown up, and he called his buddy, he was like rapping on the phone. And he wrote that song, Through the Wire, which is about rapping through the wire because his mouth was wired shut and he was still rapping and writing that song. And I thought that was pretty cool. So I'm curious. So like I said, I want to see part 3, which is coming out next Wednesday, and it's going to go into now the present. And I definitely want to see how he got. Where did he turn? I know it had to do a lot with his mom, because when his mom passed away, I guess when you started seeing a lot of the crazy stuff happening with him, and you know, obviously he took it hard. He was super close with her.
Well, I know that one guy was saying that a lot of people were taking advantage of him from the very beginning, and I can see where he's kind of, when you're hyper like that, when you have that type of attitude, you're kind of too trusting and too gullible. In a sense, where you kind of let, because all you care about is your drive. You don't pay attention to what's going on around you, that people could be fucking you over and doing things that obviously don't help you get ahead. They're just taking advantage of you. So.
Now he's not with Kim, so now he's like constantly bashing on that Pete Davidson guy for.
Yeah.
Well, let him enjoy that piece of ass for a little bit, man. You already had your shot, man.
Yeah, don't be a hater.
Yeah, because Pete has to delete his Instagram now just because like all the Kanye people that fucking start bashing him, instead of all the Kanye's fans or whatever. So Pete Davidson had to delete his Instagram again. Just
really, that's funny.
Yeah, because they keep attacking him. It's like because he's dating Kim Kardashian now.
Like, what did he do? He didn't do any. Like, I mean,
yeah.
I mean, it's her choice. I mean, she's not. You know, she's her own woman. She can make her own choices. If she doesn't want to go out with him, she doesn't need to go out with him. But if she chooses that, then let her fucking do it, man.
As I say, like Pete, you know, he has a right to that fat ass.
You go, Pete Davidson.
Yeah.
Now, is it a race thing? Is it more of like he don't want no little skinny white boy taking his shit, or
who knows?
Another white man taking taking the black man's stuff?
And Pete Davis, I can't tell what race he is. He's white. Maybe he's white, but he looks like he could have some black in him. I don't know. He's one of those kind of weird looking guys that you can't tell what nationality he is.
So for Kanye West, you say yay, I say nay. Unless you're a fan of Kanye, I don't think it's.
I wasn't a big fan, but this is making me a little bit more of a fan because now I get to see. I just like I said, I always appreciate the success story of someone that comes from nothing that goes to something, and then just sort of implode or explode later on, and just all these different dynamics that are going on in their life. And I'm always attracted to that type of person.
And that's on Netflix, right?
Yeah, it's on Netflix, and like I said, it kind of got me to let me buy that first album just see what's going on with it, and I'm going to put it on later and check it out. But I really, like I said, my favorite album is his 808 Heartbreak, because there's just so many good songs in that album.
I don't think I listened to that one. I just listened to the top songs. And then obviously the station.
So it's called America's Deadliest Concert / or whatever those little dots are.
Yeah.
The guest list.
The guest list. Okay.
And the reason why they call it the guest list, I guess, because apparently Jack Russell, when he was in town before the show went on, he was going around getting people on the guest list.
Yeah.
So all these people
right.
that, so that's why they also said he's kind of responsible because, especially people that died in the fire, like, because he was in a tattoo shop and getting tattooed.
But that's what everybody does. We used to do that too. I mean, when you have a show and you're lacking fans, you walk up to anybody and say, hey, you want to go to the show? I got like 20 tickets left. Because you just want people to fill the arena.
It's funny now that people will pay like $500 or $600 to go see like the Who, or $1,000 to go see the Who. But if you're playing like in a cover band, and it's only $5 to charge, they want to be on your guest list.
So everybody should go watch that. But the only problem with that is that it's only on Reels, right? And Reels is kind of like.
I'm annoyed by that. Yeah, I had to download a stupid. I had to like do the subscription, the 5-day trial for DirecTV Stream. And I thought if I like it, I'll keep it over YouTube TV because it's pretty much the same thing where you just live TV, but it has Reels and AXS, which is like mostly rock oriented station. Like they show a lot of good rock documentaries and everything.
Yeah.
So I got the 5-day trial on DirecTV, and then I canceled. Luckily, I watched the documentary first and then canceled, because after you cancel, apparently you don't get to keep your 5 days. Like most things you cancel, you get to keep your 5 days or 7 days or whatever until the trial ends. But no, not DirecTV. The minute I canceled, I was going to go watch that Black Sabbath Breaking the Band. And also, I couldn't watch it because I canceled. I was like, damn,
they're
fuckers.
on top of that shit. Too many people.
I even wrote them. I wrote them on Facebook. You motherfuckers! Like the shade wrote me back.
It's not a true trial, But they're like, hey, if you canceled, fuck you, man.
Yeah, it would have been $69, and it's like I've paid $65 for YouTube. And
well, the good news is that we're still alive. Russia hasn't attacked us yet, so that's the big thing in the news right now. I know everybody's talking about it.
Putting on the Ritz.
Yeah, it's fucking World War III and shit.
On the brink of World War III.
So I don't know if you watch like on social media now, like especially TikTok, is that they're showing like people with the siren, like they're doing lives. The siren is going off, right?
Yeah, the air siren. Yeah.
Yeah. So all you hear is this.
Wow.
So that's the only shit that you hear, right? But it's hard for me to feel sad when they're playing that, because all I'm thinking of doing is going, generals gathered in their masses, just like witches have black masses. All I want to do is fucking listen to War Pigs, man. So
yeah. Dun, dun, dun.
Dun. It's a horrible rendition. You could probably sing it better than me, but
no, you were actually hitting the note there.
Yeah, hitting the note 20 miles away.
Generals gathered at the masses. Just like witches have black masses.
Evil minds that plot destruction. Soldiers of deconstruction.
Little hammer on me.
So the funny part, the reason why I bring that up, so there's some funny shit going on TikTok with this whole Ukraine thing, right?
Yeah.
So there's a bunch of people showing lives, right? Saying, the bombing and stuff, and they're so popular, they're getting like 100,000 viewers and shit. So what it's causing is it's causing the fake accounts. These are the fucking assholes of the world. I heard one, like literally, this is going to fucking trip you out.
All right.
I was watching a live today and they said that they're in the Ukraine, right? But it just looked like somebody's parking lot at nighttime.
Oh, shit.
And they're making sounds. They're fucking literally making bomb sounds with their mouth going. And fucking, there's 10,000 people watching this live, fucking giving them donations and shit. Yeah. And it says in the little thing that from Ukraine.
That's what I'm pissed. Why didn't I think of that?
I mean, what the fuck is wrong with people that they're going to make a fake live so they can take advantage of people and fucking, and like literally, I'm telling you, they were making it with their mouth. Really? They were making the bomb sounds like, and then another one that I went to, cause I kept swiping through. The next one I saw was just the same thing. It was like a black nighttime buildings but there was no smoke. There was no like thing or whatever. And again, that siren is playing in the background constantly. So they're just using that like siren noise going off. And all it was is this girl crying. Please follow me. Follow me. Like she was telling people to follow her account so she could get more people.
Yeah. And then what do? They have like a donation button for you to donate?
So in TikTok, you can donate like little icons and stickers and shit, and they get paid for that. So
damn.
I was just like, fuck, what the fuck is wrong with people?
Evil plots.
That's the war pigs right there, man. Yeah. Motherfuckers.
Evil minds that plot destruction.
But then on a more serious note, I did see the video on one of the news stations where a fucking tank, a Russian tank, I don't know if it was Russian or if it was Ukraine, but a tank ran over a car. Like it deliberately, like the car was driving.
I didn't see that.
And it fucking just ran it right over. And the guy survived. They're trying to pull him out of the fucking car. Mm-hmm. But it's just nuts, man. So what do you think is going to happen with this shit?
Well, it looks like, from what I understand today, Biden finally got to where he's going to sanction Putin himself individually. So we got to see what that does. I mean, apparently the other sanctions didn't do shit.
Wait, it was his idea to begin. Why not hit him first? Why is he last on the list?
Yeah. Why wait for more people to die? And then it's like,
it's fucking stupid.
Well, let's see. What's the death count? Only 240. Okay. When it gets to 250, here, we'll do the sanctions on Putin. When it gets to 1,000, let's make 1,000 the margin.
Well, I did see something on the conspiracy shit that they were saying, and I don't know how true this was because it wasn't like a major news outlet or whatever, who knows? Yeah. But they said that China is starting to fly over Taiwan, that they're starting to mass troops towards Taiwan.
I think,
So if they invade Taiwan at the same time Russia's invading Ukraine, then we got that's World War III right there. That's if you have two nations.
And I think I remember reading someone was predicting that this is emboldening China to be able to, so now to take action against Taiwan. Now that, obviously because what's happening with Ukraine is, all these sanctions are going against Russia, and they're just kind of brushing it off like it's no big deal. Like what Donald Trump said in that speech, like, he's actually praising Putin for doing what he's doing and saying, yeah, these little $2 sanctions. That's not. It's just
and what the fuck has happened to our country, to where the people, all of his nut job people that believe in Donald Trump, they're all the fucking red-blooded Americans that believe in the 4th of July and the fucking right to everything, that hated the Russians not more than 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Are now fucking pro-Russian. What the fuck is wrong with people?
And here's what gets me is they always say, oh, those damn commies, those Democrats are commies, but they love what Russia's doing, which is
they're communists. What the fuck is wrong with you?
And I came down to this. I was thinking, I bet if it wasn't a white country invading another country, I bet if it was like one of the Arabian countries, like Saudi Arabia or somebody, they'd be fucking pissed, man.
Oh yeah, easily. Like, oh, how dare they? We got to protect them and shit.
Yeah, right.
We got to stand up.
Syria or something.
I do want to say something real quick though, as we're inside of this conversation. Is that I'm not against the Russian people, because I know there's a lot of Russian creators and content creators that don't like Putin.
Well, yeah, look at all the Russians that are protesting,
Yeah, I mean, so the Russian people, I have no problem with the Russian people, and you shouldn't either. Nobody should fucking put somebody down because they're Russian. They have no control of it. Just like you shouldn't put me down because I'm an American if Donald Trump or even fucking Super Brandon does something stupid. That's not my fault. Even if I voted for the person, it's still not my fault what our leaders do, and we shouldn't treat Russians any different because of what their leader does. They have no control over that shit.
Exactly. And look what they're doing. Like Russia's arresting and charging their protesters. Like, when people complain about America, how, we're in control because of the mask and everything. Well, go try living in Russia and try to protest.
Yeah, exactly. Like, yeah, go try to fucking do what you want. Buy a gun there. You can't even buy a gun in Russia. You're supporting that fucking regime and you can't even defend yourself in Russia because they control everything. But these people are so fucking brainwashed and stupid over Fox News and whatever that dickheaded Tucker Carlson say. I was trying to watch him yesterday.
Fucker Carlson.
Fuck, I just want to punch him in the fucking nose so bad. It just,
well, he has that face that you just want to, he has that punch me in the face look.
Exactly. Like I can't, like I'm trying to watch, there's like two people on it, right? And Tucker Carlson is sitting there with that look that he gives while the other guy's talking.
It's a look that he's first discovered sex, like someone told him about sex. It's that look he has on his face.
Yeah,
like
I can't concentrate on what the other person is saying. Like literally, I heard nothing the guest was talking about. All I was doing was staring at Tucker Carlson, wanting to punch him in the face and go, "You are such a fucking dick." Yeah. Like I couldn't help it. I couldn't help it.
Janine Pirero chick or whatever, Judge Janine or whatever her name is.
She's annoying too, but again, I don't know what it is. It's like fucking trance or something. Maybe that's how he brainwashes his audience with that look.
He used to wear like a little bow tie. I remember when he first came on. I don't know if he still wears that.
I don't know either.
It was like a little hypnotizing bow tie. It was always poking out. Yeah, like that was his image.
So what's the angle of Putin?
So here's the thing. So if he's getting hit with all these sanctions and obviously it's going to hit him financially, what's he going to do? Take over Ukraine and own it? Then he's going to be broke. It's like not going to be able to.
That's what one of the Russian creators was saying. I was watching it on TikTok and she was saying, we can't even afford the basic necessities our people can't afford. So you're going to take over more land so that way they can be poor too? What sense does that make? You can't even afford to feed us.
And it's even going to be worse with all these sanctions against them because now all the banks are frozen. They can't trade. Their exports are shut down, import exports, and then who knows what they're going to do to Putin himself. But people are saying that he'll be able to survive because of cryptocurrency or something. He's got some big, massive cryptocurrency.
Well, that's what I'm hoping because I'm highly invested in crypto. So hopefully it drives the crypto market up. So
that's why I keep looking. I keep checking. I was going to ask you about that. I'm checking mine all the time. It's actually been going up and down the same as usual. But I would think like, it would go up really high. Like everyone's like, this is going to be, because everyone's worried about their actual money. And then like, let's start investing in crypto because that's going to be if the hackers do get a hold of us and shut everything down like the banks and stuff, that's probably going to be our only currency.
Yeah. So if you're out there, invest in crypto right now before it shoots up again. But because we all know that you only get the finest high quality news from the Gen X brothers.
Gen X brothers, the most trusted news source, Gen X brothers. I'll still see
the most untrusted news source.
Well, so you can trust us or you can't. So what is that current crypto? What do you think it's going to go back up anytime soon, or what's the deal? What's the feelers?
Well, from what I understand, and again, I'm no expert on crypto, and this is not financial advice, is what you're supposed to say before you tell people what to do with their money.
Yeah.
From my understanding, is it's going to go one of two ways for this year. If it shoots up past 50, then we're in good standing, and we have a chance to have a good altcoin season. If it goes up to 50, but then it drops back down to 40 or 30, then we're going to go straight into a bear market.
Are you talking about like a Bitcoin goes up to 50?
Yeah,
or just
Bitcoin, basing it off of Bitcoin, yeah.
So because everything kind of gravitates around what Bitcoin does and everything kind of gravitates?
Yes. So the general rule is if Bitcoin goes up high, right? So what happens is people, they need retail investors. And when retail investors put all their money into Bitcoin and Bitcoin goes up, let's say $60,000, $70,000, what happens is all the people that have been invested in it, they then pull their money out of that before Bitcoin drops. And then they take that money and put it into altcoins like Pancake Swap, XRP, whatever the fuck. I can't think of all the names of them right now. And then what they do is they drive those prices up. And then when they drive those prices up, then they do the same thing. It's basically like they pull all their money out and they just go down the list. And as long as you can catch that wave all the way through, you can make a lot of money. If not, then you basically just have to wait it out until 2024, which is the next halving of Bitcoin. And then that'll be the next Bitcoin season or what have you.
Yeah.
So it didn't really have that good of a season this past couple of years, not like it normally does because of all the like FUD, all the fucking shit that's going on in the world. But if it tanks by the end of this year, then you got to wait till 2024 or just buy as much as you can in 2023 and stock up until the next cycle. So that's the key.
I feel like Dogecoin kind of killed it because they got that big old hype and it got everyone and even got me into doing it. And then all of a sudden it died out. And then all of a sudden, like, I guess whatever the millennials or this generation got, the Gen Zs got hyped up on crypto. And then now it was just like a fad for them. And now as they moved on, maybe that's what's bringing it down. Or
it kind of pulled the rug out from on it. But I mean, it's going to be, listen, if you bought, I don't care if you bought it at the height of this market in the last couple of years, if you hold on to whatever you bought for the next 5 years, you're going to make a lot of fucking money. That's just, it's just what's going to happen. It would be better though, if you bought it in the down market or in the bear market and then sold it in obviously the bull market. That would be the consensus, but that's very hard to do. Even the experts, don't really know all of what's going on because it's so volatile, but either way, if you invest, like, let's say you invest a couple $1,000s in the next 10 years, that money's going to quadruple, the 10 times, 100 times X, as long as it's in good, stable coins that are not stable coins. That's a different issue. Good cryptocurrencies that will last over the next 10 years, then coins that have value. I don't know shit. Like, I'm not a fucking expert. I just watch shit.
No more than me on it. So
yeah. But, I just do what other people do and say, oh, okay, that makes money. But I actually have a lot of money I made some money off of it, but I have a lot of money invested that I'm pretty much assuming I have to hold until 2024. Yeah. So
all I know is I got the IRS probably sending me letters sometimes. You got to start making payments, and I start getting worried. Like on a Monday, before Monday, because I had that happen before. They rape my account. Like, they'll just take the money, and then you have to set up a payment plan or whatever. So, but I haven't had no letters in a long time. I think because of COVID, they're behind. Yeah. But I just moved my money into crypto, man. Yeah. Then I got to move it back out when I pay my bills and move it back in.
Unless you know what you're doing, you can use crypto. It's supposed to be a currency. I mean, that's the whole purpose of crypto, is to be a currency to be used every day. But it's hard to do that. So
you can buy porn on Adult Empire with crypto.
Yeah, that's the beauty of it. Nobody finds out that you bought some fucking porn.
Yeah. They say we take Bitcoin.
Anything else going on in the news today, Erik?
Other than just it's been Russia TV, man, all day long, man.
All right, Erik with a C.
Erik with a K. And with a capitalized K.
Didn't you used to spell it with two Ks?
Well, sometimes a CK. I think I did it with a CK for a while, just so.
That's probably what confused me, is because you did do it with the CK. So I probably just assumed, I didn't know C or K. I just guessed, So
Willow Wisp, it was like Erik, ICK, and then I didn't like the word ick. It was like icky or whatever. So then, but Tony would always put it as ICK, and then I just took away the C and made it just IK, and then to emphasize that my name is with a K, I would do little I and capital K, but now I just do regular, like capital I and K. But yeah.
Okay. So in the end, spell his name with a C, Erik. No, just kidding. It's fucking. Yeah. Now everybody's going to be fucking putting it with a C.
Yeah.
If you want to troll Erik and piss him off, spell it with a C instead of a K.
Make me lose my shit.
You motherfucker. I said K.
Throw this damn laptop through the window when I see that. I'm going to have to get a new one.
All right, guys. I want to thank everybody for listening to us. We are the Gen X Brothers. You can follow us on TikTok, Instagram, all the places at Gen X Bros.
What about Snapchat? Just kidding.
No Snapchat. I don't know fucking Snapchat.
Do kids still use Snapchat? I know. I like that we're all invading TikTok, and all the kids are gonna be like, "I don't like TikTok no more." All the old people are on there. It's like,
that's the plan, man.
I'm already starting to hear that, like from some of the young people I talk to, like, "Oh, we don't do TikTok," because all the old people. It used to be like with Facebook, like that.
Well, something new will come out, and all the fucking kids, because they just want privacy. They just want to be able to do their shit and not have their parents fucking following them.
And we bang each other on the freaking sex each other, and all that shit.
Yeah, fucking
their
kids,
parents find it out. Yeah,
they're our future.
And we're their past.
So with that, if you haven't checked out our other shows, you can check them out on Spotify, Apple, anywhere podcasts are downloadable. You can check out our YouTube channel. I don't know, any fucking place. Just look up Gen X Bros on fucking Google and you'll find us.
Oh, it's funny, like when they say kids are our future, I say, well, look at this. I'm your future. Like a gray hair. I'm your future, motherfucker.
Your future, motherfucker? It's called gray hair, fucking wrinkles, and sore ass body, and
I'm your future. You're not my future.
And then you're gonna have your kids fucking putting you down because you got old. bitch.
Yep.
All right. Any last words, Eric, for our fans?
What am I going to die or something? Last words? What?
Yeah, you're fucking, that's it. After this, you're done. I'm sending a fucking Russian bomb.
Yes. Yeah, let's just hope we survive. If we survive World War III, we'll be back next week. If not, nice knowing y'all. Yeah.
It's been a pleasure. We appreciate you guys' support. Yeah, we'll see you next week, guys.
Later.